Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game from the World Chess Championship Candidates Matches of 2007. It's a tournament I am planning to cover at some point in its entirety, so I'm only going to show you one game for the moment. But also I would like to take this opportunity to invite everyone to our Christmas tournament sponsored by Multiverse X, formerly known as Elrond. I'm expecting a lot of people to join, probably... if I had to guess, I'd say around 10,000 players will join at least, and you guys will have a chance, as usual, when we have a big event to face some of the stronger players, well, maybe even compete for the top prizes yourself. So the first link in the description below. Join, and today I will be streaming it, and start in some 2.5 hours. Should be a lot of fun. But now getting back to this game, it is Magnus Carlsen, who back at the time in 2007 was rated some 2710, and Levon was rated 2750, and this is the first game of their candidates match. Candidates qualification match, because in those days you didn't really have a FIDE candidates tournament that would qualify you for a FIDE candidates match. Rather, you had, well, there was a big division in the chess world, and Vladimir Kramnik held the title of world champion, and they tried to unify it in 2005, 2006, but Kramnik refused to play in sort of a one tournament that would decide the world champion. But this year he decided that yes, let's play. He said that he would very much prefer to have a match for the World Chess Championship, but he decided to play either way. And this is a tournament organized to decide one of the well, not one of the four candidates for the World Candidates Tournament. That would also be a World Candidates, tournaments match, and the world champion will be decided via a tournament. So quite a nice idea. But if you think about it, that's actually how the first world champion, not first world champion, first FIDE world champion, when they first started organizing it seriously through a organization, or rather FIDE. Before you had like Steinitz had Lasker had to organize his own match with Steinitz, then Capablanca had to work his way through hell for basically 6 months of back and forth letters with Lasker to organize a match with Lasker. Then you had the same thing when Capablanca took the title away from Lasker. Then Alyekhin had to do the same thing. And then finally there was the first candidates tournament where Mikhail Botvinnik won, and that was basically the start of, not how we have it today, but basically it was the start of something that would lead to what we have today. But yeah, in 2007 it was a different story. It was a tournament that was supposed to unify everything back into what we have now, and this is sort of the result, what we have today. But like I said, I will cover it in its entirety at some point. Let's just check out the game and enjoy it. And if you wanna enjoy this moment in time with us, share a bit of history, first link in the description below. Join the tournament and let's play some chess. But now let's check out the game. Magnus with the white pieces opens with pawn to e4, and Levon with the black pieces replies pawn to e5. Sorry about that. Let me just fix that. We have knight to f3 by Magnus, knight to c6, and Magnus goes for the Ruy Lopez, bishop to b5. We have pawn to a6, Morphy's defense, bishop to a4, and knight to f6. We have castles and bishop to e7. So fairly standard stuff, nothing new here. d3, we have b5, chasing away the bishop, bishop b3, and pawn to d6. We have a4, striking against this advancement of pawns on the queen side, and now rook to b8. Magnus trades once, captures, and now knight to c3. We have castles by Levon, h3, stopping bishop to g4, and now, while you would expect something like b4, Levon goes for knight to b4 instead. And of course, it's a general idea with black and Ruy Lopez to move the knight from c6 to enable this pawn to be advanced all the way to c5. And now there are a couple of moves that were played in this position even back in 2007, but it is now, as of move 12, knight to e2 by Magnus, that we have a completely new game. So let's see what happens here. Levon advances the pawn to c5. We have knight to g3, trying to get the knight over to the f5 square. That's a great square for the knight. Bishop to e6, and now Magnus trades. With bishop captures, f captures. This sort of ruins Levon's pawn structure, but it also gives him more control over the center, and he does have additional control over the d5 square, so if he wants, he can push d5 at any point. Not while the e5 pawn is undefended, but once he takes care of that, it becomes a possibility. So c3, Magnus kicks away the knight from this mighty b4 square, knight back to c6, and now rook to e1. The pawn is now defended, and perhaps even Magnus is considering d4 at some point. We have queen to d7, and that's exactly what Magnus does. Pawn to d4, striking in the center. We have e captures on d4, c captures on d4, and now Levon advances the pawn all the way to c4. And now you can already see that black maybe got a little bit more than black should get out of the opening. If, let's say, b4 and c3 is played, black can already claim a passed pawn. So, okay, Magnus goes bishop to g5 and pawn to h6, asking Magnus, what is your bishop even doing here? And Magnus decides not to move the bishop back with something like bishop to e3 or bishop to d2. He strikes in the center with pawn to d5. And of course, h captures on g5 is somewhat insufficient now due to d captures on c6. So Levon plays e captures on d5. We have bishop captures on f6 first, bishop captures, and now queen captures on d5 with check, rook to f7, and now queen all the way back to d2. While you would enjoy doubling up on the d file, your b2 pawn is hanging, so you really have to do something about that. And Magnus moves the queen back, queen to d2. So now you have this position where Levon has this possibility of b4 and c3 in the future, and the bishop nicely complementing those pawns here. And the Magnus has the weak d6 pawn to work with if he's able to ever attack it. And here, after queen to d2, we have knight to e5. Putting pressure on the knight here, and Magnus just trades. We have captures, and now knight to e2. Interestingly, as I'm sure you guys are wondering, why not knight to f5? It looks like such a wonderful move, just an annoying square for black to face the knight, and also it puts additional pressure on d6. The problem is, the only thing defending the knight on f5 is this e4 pawn, and you can now undermine it with d5. And once you allow black to execute d5, it's, well, equal to say the least, but black is the one who is in control now. And the best white can hope for is to really commit with something like f4, attack the bishop, bishop will move in g4, and you know, hope for the best. But let's say after d captures, everything gets traded off, captures, it doesn't look like all that much for white. And it's still, black has the same threat, b4 c3, creating a passed pawn, and the bishop will just be a monster here. So instead, after bishop captures on e5, knight to e2 by Magnus, and now we have rook rook b back to f8, gaining control of the f file, not allowing pawn to f4 by Magnus. So here we have rook to f1. Interestingly, pawn to f4, although it looks like impossible, is objectively the best move here, and I will just show why. Because after bishop captures and knight captures, okay, you have given up a pawn, but there's queen to d5 check, and now once black stops this by any means, now you'll play rook 8 to d1, and you do have pressure on the d6 pawn. You also have pressure on b5 if the queen ever moves, so it's a fairly okay position for white. But still, after rook to f2, it just looks better for black. Also, the b2 pawn is hanging, you will have pressure on the king side, so if anyone will be better here, it will be black. So instead, Magnus played rook to f1, but now Levon plays the move that basically characterizes this game, and I'm not going to tell you what move he played because it's not the strongest move by the engine. I'm just going to tell you to get in Levon's shoes. You've seen many of Levon's games, you know how he plays, you know how he thinks. Feel free to pause the video and try to figure out a Levon move while I give you a couple of seconds. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding any of the awesome moves like queen to c6. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, congratulations on spotting the Levon move, and that is rook to f3. And it's such an annoying move to face, not just because, of course, you cannot capture. I mean, if you capture, then you completely destroy your king side, and after rook captures on f3, there's just not all that much you can play here. Even a nice rook to e3, okay, you threatened the rook, but still queen captures on h3. How are you getting out of this? There's just not much you can do. And even if knight to f4, which sort of is possible, because if rook captures queen, the problem is bishop captures, queen captures on f4, and now, of course, black doesn't capture the white queen right away. Black first captures the rook on f1 with check, and after king captures, only then rook captures on f4, and with 2 extra pawns, of course, this is easily winning for black. So instead, after rook to f3, Magnus has to figure out a different plan. He plays rook to a3 first, first, which makes sense. But now Levon just plays rook captures on a3, and this ensures him a pass pawn without without working for his meal all that much. B captures on a3 was played, and now queen to c6 before putting pressure on the e4 pawn. So knight to d4, attacking the queen, preparing to capture on b5. If queen captures on e4, also creating a passed a pawn, but now just bishop captures on d4. We have queen captures and rook to a8. Levon has everything nicely defended here, and he wants to go after the a3 pawn. So Magnus goes rook to a1, but now pawn to c3. The queen is nicely set up behind the passed pawn. Queen to b4, and now we have queen to c5, offering a queen trade, which Magnus, of course, cannot accept. The pawns are simply too strong. Queen to b3 check was played, king to h8, and now rook to a2, fighting for that c2 square, but there are just too many weaknesses in Magnus's camp. We have rook to a4 going after the e4 pawn, rook to e2 defending, and now just rook captures on a3. You cannot defend both a3 and e4. Queen to d1, and now rook back to a8, and he was in this position on move 36 that Magnus Carlsen resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. He will simply, by he, I mean Levon, will simply put the rook on d8 to guard the d pawn and then start advancing the b pawn. One way this could conclude is, let's say Magnus improves the position of his king, b4 is coming, and after something like f3, okay, we create a nice setup here. Queen e5 check, let's say g3, and now queen to b5, just preparing to start advancing those pawns, and if rook to c2, now just queen to c4, and now everything is in position for the pawns to be marched forward. Let's say pawn h4, pawn to b3 attacks the rook, rook c1, pawn to b2 attacks the rook, and after rook to c2 or something, doesn't really matter, just rook a1, and that's it. Once the queen moves, the b1 queen is coming, and that's pretty much it. You could even hope for some sort of a perpetual here, but there's no way to accomplish it. Like if you get the queen into the game, queen f8 check, hoping for some queen to f5, queen to f8 checking action, there's the simple queen to g8. So there's really nothing to hope for here. And this is the first game they played. Levon won, and I'm not going to tell you what happened in the rest of the match or in the rest of the candidates' tournaments match, as I'm planning to cover it at some point, but all in all, an excellent victory for Levon Aronian, especially with this brilliant rook f3 move. I mean, look at this, rook to f3. Imagine playing something like this against Magnus Carlsen. Okay, fairly younger Magnus Carlsen, but still, I mean, rook f3 against Magnus, that's something to, you know, to cherish dearly for the rest of your life. And yeah, like I said, if you guys want to join us, if you want to be part of the fun, I'm expecting a lot of people to join. First link in the description below. Let's, you know, enjoy. And of course, I will be showcasing some of the games on my channel. I will be streaming most of the games. So maybe your game will also get streamed against a very strong Grandmaster where you crush him. And then, of course, everyone will get to experience that with you. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys will be able to join us. First link in the description below. I would like to thank Kenneth View, Nikola Vujicic, Maximo Eiseren, Amelia Gray Scott, and Sven Feurer for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And see you soon.